Good afternoon, fellow YouTubers. Belchy94 with another YouTube video. And today, this is a special live stream special. We are celebrating 40 years of the XPT locomotive. Based on, I think it's the 42, I just lost the XPT. It's an English-based design, but built in Australia. Yeah, so it's very unique train. Probably one of my favorite. Go to Wikipedia, which isn't the most reliable page, obviously, but it gives you a fair bit of detail. I believe it's based on. Yeah, it's based on the British Rail Higher Class 125 high speed train. That's what it was based on. So I was going to go to Google Images. I'll put that in so I can give you guys a fair picture. So in a second, guys, I'm going to show you. Then we'll go. I'm just going to share. So this is what the XPT is based off. This is an inner city 125 inner city train, or a 43 class, which is what the XPT is based off. It looks very similar. So here's one here from Wikipedia, a 43 class here. But one thing you'll notice is the design. The design is exactly the same. Or similar, or not exactly the same, but more similar designs. So if we I know this is very poor. We'll go and share share screen again. I haven't got any XPT pictures of me, but here you go. Here's what the XPT looks like. So that's its original livery. State Rail, inner city XPT. I do like that livery. It would have been fantastic if they could wrap the XPT in this livery this morning when it did the 40th anniversary run from because it's so. Before we get too far into a tangent of me babbling on about stuff, the XPT's first revenue passenger service run was from Central to Dubbo on the 8th of April 1982. And this would have been its livery. The first oldest locomotive was XPT 200 power car. So it ran with XPT 200 and 2001. They used those systems this morning. So here's the interior, what it looks like now. I think this is an economy class. I think this is an economy class. This is a sleeper cabin. That just sends me to Wikipedia. We'll close that one. Yeah, so I'm going to open up the wiki page so we can, and yes, you're going to say, oh, why are you on that page? That's not interesting. That doesn't. Yes, we all know how unreliable this has the most information on it. Some of it could be wrong. Some of it could be true. I've only caught the XPT once. And from my experience it wasn't a bad train. Comfortable, smooth. It did have its issues. I remember because it was wet. I was going to Sydney for a holiday. Maybe the weather was helping it, but it was going up the Cowan Bank. Probably it's up there with one of the steepest inclines in the New South Wales train link network. I was a bit tired. I've had a big day. Been out. Had to get tyres done on the car. So, here's an XPT in the current livery, the modern livery they got now at Central Railway Station. Entered service on the 8th of April 1982. Manufacturer, which, according to Gladys, apparently Australia can't build trains, but here's a machine that's over 40 years old, built by Australia. They're built by Comminge ABB Transportation. Built at Granville, New South Wales, and Dandenong, Victoria, and I probably butchered all that. Family name was the Inner City 125. Entered service between 1981 to 1994. There are 19 power cars built. So the successor is the new regional fleet. So formation is 2 power cars push-pull formation, and the fleet numbers go from XP 2000 to 18. So it's operated as New South Wales Trainlink. It was CountryLink before that, then State Rail. So you got the XPT. They're based at the XPT Service Centre, and this line serves the North Coast, Main West, and Main Southern. Here's the specifications of the train. Car length is 17.35 metres, 56 feet, 11 inches. Width is 2,890 millimetres, 9 feet, 6 inches. Height is 4,220 millimetres, which is 13 feet and 10 inches. Wheel diameter is 1,020 millimetres, so 3 foot 4 inches. Maximum speed is 160 kilometers, about 100 miles an hour. Service is maximum record speed was 193. They've actually pushed it over, from what I've read, up to. Rumor has it. I don't know how true this is. If we had decent rail infrastructure, these trains could sit at 220. And you're thinking, there's faster trains that can go faster than that. Yes, but for 1980, that was a big feature. That was a big thing. That was pretty quick. For the time, that was very quick. 1980s railway standard. And unfortunately, it hasn't been used to its full potential because obviously some of the infrastructure is not up to standard, especially if you go out the Hunter Valley Way. If you go some of the railway lines past Trellara, I thought looking at it, they're a bit, I can't see it going too fast through here, blah, blah, blah. But, so the weight of the train is 76 tons, which is 75 long tons, 84 short tons. I don't know what the hell that means. All I know is it's 76 tons. 19 tons is the axle load. So 19 long tons, 21 short tons. So they came with originally a Paxman Valenta motor. I don't know exactly what they are, but obviously you can click on that and we can get more information on those motors. But from 2000, that's the current motor that I run now is Paxman VP 185. So obviously it's the better motor. That's from the year 2000. Both a V12 diesel. Cylinder count 12. Traction motors Bush TMH 6846 MK2 Power 4. So power outlet is 1,492 kilowatts, 2,001 horsepower per power car. Transmission is diesel electric. Bogies PGA power. Coupling system knuckle. Track gauge 1,435 millimeters, 4 foot 8.5 inches standard gauge. So that's the CountryLink. So that would have been the second livery. So from about 90s onwards. I think they used that to about 2011, 2012 when they got painted into this refurbished livery here. So pretty much that the carriages didn't get changed, but the actual engines were painted. So I bring something up and I forgot it. So these trains, there's a lot of cool history about these trains. One, they're pretty comfortable to sit on. Two, this actually holds the record for the fastest train to Newcastle. Believe it or not, which we'll get into. I think it'll be somewhere in here. And also, they used two XPT motor cars to test the tilt train in the mid to late 90s, which we'll get into because I'm going to read through all this and probably bull the shit out of you, and that's fine. I can live with that. So the New South Wales XPT is short for the Express Passenger Train. Is a class of diesel power. Oh, I'll read this whole thing and then I'll tell you what. I saw online, which I don't know how true this. So diesel-powered passenger trains built by Comage and ABB Transportation, based on the British rail design Intercity 125 high-speed train. Each XPT set is made up of 2 XPT locomotives in a push-pull formation coupled to between 4 to 7 carriages. That all depends on where it's heading, because some areas it'll only run in 4, some be 5, some will be up to 7. Because usually the ones that are traveling interstate will be 7. The first set entered service under the State Rail Authority in 1982 and now operate under New South Wales Rail, running on long-distance, regional and interstate, North Coast, main western, main southern lines through New South Wales and interstate into Victoria and Queensland. So, I'm on one of these train groups on Facebook. I can't find the picture of it, but someone posted a prototype by Comage. This would have been the late 80s, early 90s. They were working on a hybrid, we're going to call it biofuel, or like a hybrid sort of thing, where it will have a diesel motor in it, but also be able to run on, have an electric motor, similar to what the new regional trains that are coming out in Australia are going to be. We're going to have biodiesel. That's what it is, biodiesel. I knew it was coming to me. It was coming to me, and so yeah, they're going to be so the engines were going to look the same, like as you see here. The only difference is it'll have 2 pantographs on each engine, and it was towing. I'm going off what the picture looked like. The picture looked like it was towing like V-set trailers, not the driving car, trailers. Because this was built by Comage, which also built the V-sets. And the cool thing is, and the curiousest thing is, what if they continued with that project? Where would Comage be today? Because the interesting thing is, if they kept the production of the DK series V-sets and these biodiesel XPTs, if that was true, could have kept them going a bit longer. So, the history of the train. We're going to talk into this history. And this is a live stream, so this is just going to be me rambling on, no edits. So it could be terrible, could be great. And we'll go from there. So the development of the XPT. This is from the Wikipedia page on the XPT. So development, improving public transport was a major issue in the 1976 state election in New South Wales. And one of the commitments of the incoming Rand government was to buy new rolling stock for country rail services. Because at the time you had a different variety of trains. So we had steam trains, locomotive hold trains. We had the DEB sets. We had the 627, the 600, 700 class rail cars, and the 620, 720 as well. We also had the old Silver City Comic, which is another train that sets the standard in, which is another history, like another train. That was another train back in its heyday, back in the 30s, which changed history altogether. But we're not going to be talking about the Silver City Comet. That will be probably be in its anniversary video in 2026. But right now we're talking about the 40 years of the XPT. So, in January 1978, the Public Transport Commission invited tenders of 25 high-speed railcars similar to the Prospector railcars delivered by Comage to the Western Australia government in 1971. The tender allowed bidders to suggest alternative type of high-speed train. Comage submitted a tender for a train based on the British rail design high-speed train, which had ended service in the United Kingdom in October 1976. In August 1979, Comage was announced as a successful bidder, and although the tender had called for 100 vehicles, by the time the contract was signed in March 1980, the order was for only 30, 10 power cars and 20 carriages, enough to form 4 5-carriage trains with 2 spare power cars. The high-speed train was significantly modified, with the power cars being 50 centimeters and 19.7 inch shorter. The Paxman Volenta engine, down-rated from 2,250 horsepower to 2,000 horsepower. So that'd be 160 kilowatts to 1,490 kilowatts, generating lowered for a loop operating speed of 160 kilometers, which is 99 miles per hour. Suspension modified to operate on the inferior track, and air filters and cooling system modified to cater the hotter and dustier Australian conditions. However, the XPT was certified compatible of reaching speeds of 200 kilometers per hour which is 120 miles per hour. A different light cluster was fitted along with 3 high-beam spotlights mounted on the roof. The passenger trailer cars were based on a Budd design, with the British Rail Mark III trailers considered unsuitable. So in service, the first power car and trailer commenced testing with a stainless steel luggage van in August 1981. The initial XPT livery was red, black and orange, with the Intercity XPT sign writing on the power cars. It was also known as the Super Train. On a demonstration run to Albury on the 6th of September 1981, the XPT set a new Australian rail speed record. And this is quite big for this time. I know it's not big now, there's faster trains, but this is back in the early 80s. This was very revolutionary at the time. So this was between Tabletop and Gregory in southern New South Wales, breaking that set by Western Australia Government Railways Prospector train in 1971. On a test run to Albury on the 18th of September 1992, XPT reached 193 kilometres between Tabletop and Yurong Creek. 200 kilometres was a target speed, and the record was broken by Queensland Rail electric tilt train in May 1999. The first full test XPT set ran in January 1992. The 4 sets entered in service on the Central West XPT to Dubbo in 1982, and the Mid-North Coast XPT to Kempsey in May 1982, and the Riverina XPT to Albury in August 1982. In 1983, a further 5 power cars and 15 trailers were ordered. This allowed the Canberra XPT to commence in August 1983, followed by the Northern Tablelands XPT to Glen Innes and Tinterfield 2 times per week only in June 1984. The XPT cut 15 minutes of the trip between Sydney and Canberra by tightening up the diagrams. An overnight South XPT to Albury was introduced but cancelled in June 1985 due to low patronage. To low people catching it. I can't even pronounce it. In 1985, an additional 12 trailer carriages were ordered to allow 6 sets of 7 carriages to be formed. From October 1985, the Mid-North Coast XPT to Kempsey ceased, being replaced by the Holiday Coast XPT to Grafton. The Northern Tablelands XPT was also cut back to Armidale and only run on alternative days, with the rub sets operating on the other days. Initially, the XPT carried a fare surcharge compared to parallel locomotive hauled services. However, this was abolished from May 1985. It was proposed to extend operations to Melbourne, with costs to be shared with V-Line. Promotional train ran to Melbourne in November 1990 with the consist of XP 2012, XDH 2111, XDR 2156, XD 2219, XD 2215, XFH 2015, and XP 2008. Further demonstration runs took place to Melbourne in February 1985. Crew training commenced on the North-East line between Albury and Ballina in July 1985. With services scheduled to commence on the 3rd of August, however, agreements could not be reached with the Australian Federal Union of Locomotive Employees over crewing, and the plan was shelved. Following the election of the Greiner government in March 1988, consultants Booz Allen Hamilton were commissioned to prepare a report into New South Wales rail services. On purely economic grounds, the report recommended closing all country passenger services as they were judged unviable. However, this was not politically acceptable. If services were to be maintained, the report recommended operating a reduced rail services with all XPTs. In February 1990, the Brisbane Limited and Pacific Coast Motor Rail were withdrawn and replaced by XPT services to Brisbane and Murwillumbah. If I probably butchered that, I apologise. To provide rolling stocks for these. The Canberra XPT was withdrawn and replaced by a locomotive hauled train, and the Northern Tablelands Express was translocated to become a day return service to Tamworth. In 1990, the government announced it would purchase a fleet of Explorers to reintroduce services to Armidale and Moree. When these were introduced in October 1993, the Northern Tablelands XPT ceased, and the stock replaced a locomotive hauled set on a service to Grafton. In October 1990, the government announced that 8 sleeper carriages were to be ordered for use on overnight services to Brisbane, Murwillumbah, and Melbourne. These were introduced in order placed with ABB Transportation in Dandenong. That's how you pronounce it, I believe. In 1991, for four power cars and 13 trailers, that was jointly funded by the New South Wales and Victorian governments. At the same time, the earlier stock was repainted in the CountryLink livery. So that's this livery right here, as you can see in this picture right here. So in November 1993, XPT replaced locomotive hauled stocks on the overnight Sydney to Melbourne Express. In December 1994, an XPT daylight service in Melbourne was reintroduced by extending the Riverina XPT from Albury. In 1995, CountryLink trialled the Swedish Railway X2000 tilt train carriages after conducting a statewide tour in March. They were used on the Canberra services from the 23rd of April until 18th of June 1995 with modified power XPT power cars XP2000 and XP2009. Since 2003, an XPT has operated a service each January to parks for the Parks Elvis Festival. With the closure of the Murwillumbah line, XPT services were cut back to Casino from May 2004. In October 2003, with a set isolated west of Lithgow by bushfires, it was deployed on the Outback Explorer service to Broken Hill. So here we go. I'm going to talk about the fleet of the power cars. So a total of 19 XPT power cars were built. These locomotives were originally powered by Paxman Valenta 12 RP200L engines with a single turbocharger. These were replaced from June 2000 by Paxman VP 185 12-cylinder diesel engines with 4 low-pressure turbochargers and 2 high-pressure turbochargers boasting 1,492 kilowatts or 2,001 horsepower that have been successfully used by some British rail high-speed trains since 1994. The traction equipment was manufactured in England by Brush Traction of Loudsborough. I don't know, probably butchered that. And power cars comprises 5 main compartments at platform level. At the front is the driver's cab, followed by the clean air compartment, engine room, cooling group, compressor room at the rear of the locomotive. The State Rail Authority named XP power cars after destinations that the XPT has served. All nameplates have since been removed. So let's start. XP2000, City of Maitland. XP2001, City of Dubbo. XP2002, City of Brisbane. XP2003, City of Orange. XP2004, City of Kempsey. XP2005, City of Newcastle. Very rare you see them at Newcastle. Very rare. I will get into that in a sec. XP2006, City of Wagga Wagga. XP2007, City of Albury. XP 2008, City of Goulburn. XP 2009, City of Murwillumbah. XP 2010, City of Taree. XP 2011, City of Sydney. XP 2012, City of Tamworth. XP 2030, City of Casino. XP 2014, City of Grafton. XP 2050, City of Wangaratta. I probably have butchered that one. XP 2016, City of Cotamandra. Probably butchered that too. Do apologise. XP 2017, City of Melbourne. XP 2018, City of Coffs Harbour. XP 2000 to 2014 was built by Comminge Granville, with XP 2015 to 2018 built by ABB Transportation in Dandenong. So, accidents and incidents. On the 3rd of May 1991, an XPT locomotive derailed at Henty near New South Wales Victorian border, injuring the driver and 6 passengers. On the 27th of January 2001, an XPT collided with a car on a level crossing in the Gregory level crossing accident. 5 people in the car were killed and the train was derailed. On the 20th of February 2020, a Sydney to Melbourne bound XPT derailed at about 7:45 p.m. in the Woolan derailment, killing the train driver and pilot and injuring 12. In October 2016, the New South Wales government announces the XPT will be replaced as a part of the New South Wales Transit Regional Train Project. A contract with CAF was signed in 2019 with the XPTs to be replaced with bi-mode civility trains in 2023. I'm hoping that they do keep these trains, preserve a couple of these trains, because they are a big part of railway history, whether people like it or not. Okay, services. The XPT fleet is currently used on services from Sydney to Grafton, Casino, Brisbane, Dubbo, and Melbourne. Operating cycle. The Dubbo set is competitive and operates on a daily return service. The other 7 sets rotate on a 7-day repeating cycle as follows. Day 1, the 742 Sydney to Melbourne arrives at 6:30 and forms the 750 Melbourne to Sydney. Day 2 arrives at Sydney at 6:58 and forms the 11:41 Sydney to Grafton, arrives at 10:15. Day 3, the 5:15 Grafton to Sydney arrives at 3:45 and forms the 8:42 to Melbourne. Day 4 arrives at Melbourne at 7:30 and forms the 8:30 to Sydney and arrives at 7:59. Day 5, it forms the 7:08 Sydney to Casino and arrives at 8:41 and then forms the 7:30 Casino to Sydney. Day 6 arrives at Sydney at 7:01 and forms the 2:41 Sydney to Brisbane. And Day 7 arrives at Brisbane at 4:53 and forms a 5:55 Brisbane to Sydney and arrives at 8:10. Between each duty and Sydney trains are services at the XPT service centre south of Sydenham Station. This pattern has led to XPTs being one of the most utilised train fleets worldwide, with only 3 significant periods of downtime in their cycle. This includes the 1 overnight stabling in Grafton between days 2 and 3, and 2 overnight stablings in Sydney between days 4 and 5 and days 7 and 1. So the XPT carriage stock. As you can see here, pictures of the XPT carriages. So, the XPT carriages were refurbished in 1992/93, including a repaint into the CountryLink livery. All were refurbished again between 2005 and 2008. So the fleet is 8 XAM sleeping cars, 10 XL first class saloon cars, 9 XBR first class saloon / buffet cars, 25 XF economy class saloon cars, 9 XFH economy class saloon / luggage cars. Formations. Initially, all services operated with 5 carriage sets include the purchase of extra carriages. This increases to 7. In 1998, each set was reduced to 6. In 2001, all reduced to 5 carriages outside of school holiday periods. Today, XPTs operate with 4 carriages to Dubbo form from the country end as XL, XBR, XF, and XFH, and 5 form from the country end as XAM, XL, XBR, XF, and XFH on the North Coast and Melbourne services, with 6 during peak time periods with an extra XF is added. From the country end, it'll be XAM, XL, XBR, XF, XF, and XFH. The set can operate with 1 power car if required, with the power car turned at its destination. Carriage coding features in numbers as followed. So XFH is the economy saloon, booked luggage compartment, and guards compartment. So number in the fleet is 9. Seating capacity is 44. Weight is 40.1 tons. The ID number and constructor is XFH 2104 to 2110, XFH 2112, and XFH 2113, and they're built by Comminge. XF Economy Saloon there's 25. Seating capacity is 68, and the weight is the same as the XFH, which is 40.1 tons. XF is 2200 to 2224, and that was also built by Comminge. XBR First Class Saloon / Buffet Cafe. So there's 9 in the fleet, 21 plus 1's wheelchair space. So the weight for that is 43.6 tons. So that'll be XBR 2150 to 2158, built by Comminge. XB 2117 was rebuilt from economy class saloon XD 225 and XBR 2158 from economy saloon luggage as XCar 2021. Built by United Gwynn Broadmeadow. XL is the first class saloon, which seats 9 people. Number in the fleet, is 9. Seating capacity is 56. So the weight ton is 40.1 by Comminge and 39.6 by ABB Transportation. XL 2228 to 2232 was built by ABB Transport. XL 2233 to 2236 was built by Comminge. XL 2233 and 2236 were rebuilt by Gwynn from XFH/XDH Saloon luggage cars. XAM is the first class corridor car guards compartment. 18 sleeping, 27 seated, and it's the heaviest carriage, which is 48.3 tons. XAM 2175 to 2182, built by ABB Transportation. 9 passenger compartments available as twin berth sleepers for overnight services, or 3-seat day sitters at overtime, with 5 shared toilet and shower compartments. The XPT fleet is maintained at the XPT Service Centre, a purpose-built depot south of Sydenham Station, which confines of Meeks Road Triangle. All work performed here except for wheel profiling, which is performed on a wheel lathe at Flemington Maintenance Depot. So we'll read this XPT carriage stock. So you've got XPT carriages at Central Railway Station. Interior of an economy XF carriage right here. So in service from the 8th of April 1982, built by Comminge, Gwynn, Granville, New South Wales, and Dandenong, Victoria. Constructed between 1981 to 1993. Refurbished in 1992 to in 1993, and also another refurbishment in between 2005 to 2008. Fleet numbers is XFH 2104 to 2010, which I all read before. Operator is New South Wales Trailing, car body, and all that. Standard the gauge. Rank system is there. I think I've read all this before. Passenger compartment for an XAM type carriage in the first class day sitter configuration. Seatback fold forward to provide the lower of 2 sleeping bunks. So potential exports are: in 1986, agreement were reached to build a fleet of XPTs for the State Rail of Thailand and allowed to be built to a narrow 1,000mm 3-foot 3.8 meter gauge and retain some fuel capacity. It was proposed to extend the power of the cars by 2.7 to 20 meters, 8 foot 10 in to 65 feet 7 inches, and then mount them on bogies. The negotiations were sufficiently advanced for the Prime Minister of Thailand to announce on television. However, Australian Department of Trade withdrew its support at the last moment, and the deal fell through. So now, I've been going for about 36 minutes now. So this is the XPT history. So what we're going to be doing, I'll stop sharing. Go full screen. So here I am. So I want to talk about one of the history record-breaking moments. Yes, I've read some of them as it was seeing speed records around the state. It was a train way ahead of its time, built to move people around in comfort plus speed, a lot quicker. But unfortunately, what hindered these trains was the lack of infrastructure. These trains are designed to sit at higher speeds, but they can't because of railway infrastructure, especially in that the government neglect, like the rural areas, the regional areas where these trains run. So if you go further out, you'll notice the rail quality isn't as great. But yeah, so I'm going to look up the date for the XPT Sydney to spell to Newcastle. The fastest train to Newcastle was 3801. So here we go. So the train originally held the fastest from Sydney to Newcastle was 3801, which done in approximately just over 2 hours. So the XPT beat, you won't believe it, it wasn't by much. It didn't beat 301 by much. So the XPT beat the record from Sydney to Broadmeadow in 1 hour and 50 minutes. Which at the time you think about it is pretty quick. The funny thing I find interesting now that the governments are bringing up is these new inner city trains, and if it's going to hit 160, it's going to be quick. You get to, and you hear in the media the fast rail. Oh, the trains are going to be quicker. But what are they talking about? Because if you're going to have a high-speed railway train, one thing you can't have is it's going to struggle on inclines, curves, the traffic in the rail corridor. Because on the Central Coastline, you got freight, you got passenger trains that run the all station stops. You've got Mullet Creek with all the curves, probably. That will definitely, if you're running the fast train on an existing railway line, it's going to be bottlenecked. So it won't be able to hit the high speeds, and it won't make any difference because you need to have updated infrastructure. So it'll be bottlenecked at Mullet Creek. Just as you pass Hawkesbury River, as you go up Cowan Bank will be a big hurdle for it because one of the steepest inclines in the railway network. And then once you reach the Sydney suburban network, it's going to be slow down because of the you got the Sydney network passenger train. So what they'd have to build is plan if they're going to do a fast rail, is they're going to have to run a train straight from Sydney to Gosford. I'd have 3 stops: Newcastle, Gosford, Sydney. Build a separate platform at Sydney, then stop at Gosford, and then stop maybe I'd actually have it terminate at Broadmeadow, not actual Newcastle interchange, Broadmeadow, because there's a third platform there. If you can work out a way to run it's a separate track, and that's the thing. Cost me, but when I was chatting on the CSET tour, one person came up with this great idea. We could have a fast train going from Macarthur all the way to Canberra. That would work, because you can't run it through Sydney. That's the problem. You could probably push the Central Coast. You could probably push it to Hornsby, and that's the problem. Or even Barara. See, they've got a plan where the government keeps bringing this up, but they haven't planned where they're going to put it. They've got to work out where this is going to go, because one thing, you can't run on the existing rail infrastructure. It just won't work, because it'll need a lot of work, and the speed will be hindered by a lot. This is my opinion, what I reckon they should do. Yes, it's not the latest technology. It's based on what they got in Queensland. I'd run a tilt train. I feel like you can get quicker speeds with a tilt train. You can run on the existing infrastructure. You're going to have to upgrade it, obviously. You could run that up on both the South Coast, Blue Mountains, and, so you'd have a biodiesel, and they can run out in the Hunter as well. So the lines aren't electrified. But anyway, that's me rambling on about that. But this is a great achievement for the great history of the XPT. And I do recommend, these trains aren't going to be around forever. If you want to go out and ride one, go out and ride one, spend the ticket. It's worth it. It's a great trip. You're going to go on a holiday with school holidays coming out. Book a regional train on the XPT. Catch one. Enjoy it while it lasts, because these trains aren't going to be around. I do wish they will. I do wish, and I hope they'll keep one preserved for tours and stuff, because this would be great, especially you store them out in regional areas. This would be great tourism for regional areas, people hearing about the iconic XPT. It is an iconic train. It has brought a lot to Australia, a lot to Australian Railway, a lot of history. It was ahead of its time, I feel, with a lot of technology it had, moving people around in comfort. And I feel like what it's going to replace with is not going to live up to the standard. Oh, it's biodiesel. Great, fantastic. But is it reliable? Is it comfortable? From the pictures I've seen, I don't think it's that comfortable. But I've seen an XPT, and I thought they were very comfortable. Yeah. Nice and clean it was. Anyway, happy 40 years for an XPT, and hopefully I'll be around enough to see it hit another 40 years. I just want to say thank you guys for watching this live stream. I'm sorry it did drag on a bit long. I'm going to end this stream on this great clip. I'm about to play a video in a sec. Hold on. I'll better turn the sound on. Oh.
Please stand clear.